Stay tuned to see a program I never wanted to do. My name is Yvonne Lewis, and you're watching Urban Report. Hello and welcome to Urban Report. My guest today is Dr. Kim Logan-Nowlin, author, psychotherapist, and co-host of Dare to Dream's family support program, Making It Work. Today we're here to pay tribute to her late husband, Arthur Nowlin. He was co-host of the program with her, and on October 30th of 2016, he passed away. Welcome to Urban Report, Dr. Kim.
Oh, Yvonne, so good to see you.
You know that we love you, and you know that we loved Arthur here.
Oh, yes, and he loved all of you.
Oh, praise the Lord. And we loved what you guys, not just what you did, but what you stood for.
Yes.
What you stood for. You represented to us a family that was making it work.
Yes, every day.
And I'm smiling because every time I think about you and Arthur together, it's like you can't help but smile.
Right.
Because you guys just, the banter, the back and forth, and we're going to show some clips in a little bit, but the banter and the back and forth that you had with him was so special. And so today, we want to honor him.
I appreciate that.
We want to honor him because he was a man of God. So tell us about, first of all, how did you meet Arthur?
All right, how did we meet? That's really, amazing. The AIDS revolution was really strong about 25 years ago. And the ambassador of AIDS was visiting Detroit, Dionne Warwick. And so they invited some of the agencies to come to hear her speak and also to come to the celebration that evening at one of the hotels. Well, when I walked in with my cousin Karen, I said, that's going to be my husband. I said it just like that. That's going to be my husband.
You mean you saw him across the room?
Yes.
Oh, come on now.
I saw him.
What?
And so, he was there hosting, and I was there as a hostess. And so I was sitting there watching him, and one of his golf friends said, well, I don't know why you're looking at him. He's married. And I was like, oh, okay. So his girlfriend called me, and so they were all talking about me Sunday on the golf course, and they were like, man, you won't stand a chance with her. So he never responded. He said, man, you don't have enough to bring to the table, all right? And so...
So wait, he was looking at you and you were looking at him.
Yes, but he was very cool. You know how Arthur was, just cool.
Yes.
But he had on the baddest socks. It was the socks.
It was the socks.
I will tell anyone, his socks
goodness.
were, and he took pride in his socks, all right? And he crossed his legs, and I was like, whoa, look at those socks. So I said, the man cares about his socks. That man cares about his appearance, all right? So a few days later, I called his office to see if they would like to do my radio show.
But his office was, he did what?
He was a social worker in substance abuse.
Okay.
And so I had my own practice, and so they sent his boss, not him. And I'm like, okay, all right.
But now in the meantime, you had found out he wasn't married.
I found out 2 days later.
Okay.
I saw a friend, and we were at an AIDS conference. And I said, I met Arthur Nowlin. She said, oh, he is so nice. And I said, well, he's married. She said, no, he's not. I said, what? She said, no, he's divorced. He has a son, but he's single. Girl, these women been on him for years, but he will not commit. He hasn't met the right one. So I said, all right. So I called my girlfriend who worked with him, and she was having a cabaret. I said, well, I don't go to cabarets. I'm Seventh-day Adventist. I don't do cabarets. She said, well, it's for my son's football team, the Pell Group. I said, I tell you what, if you can get Arthur Nowlin there, I'll buy all your tickets. Oh, okay? I said,
you were a woman with a plan.
But I was on a mission. But I told her, I said, don't tell him. And sure enough, she told him. And when he walked in, I ran to the restroom. I was so embarrassed, okay?
Because now you knew that she had told him.
I knew she had told him. So he came, and he was sitting at the table. I came out, and there was a lot of women around. I'm like, no, this is not going to work, you know. He's a pretty boy and all this and that. So he asked me to dance. I said, well, I don't dance. He said, what do you mean you don't dance? I said, and then I said, well, maybe I should help out the Holy Spirit, okay? So the song was on and it became our theme song. And I was stepping on his feet, you know, trying to do some things. And he said, do you know how to dance? I said, not really. I said, I roller skate, okay? And so I said, so Mr. Nowlin, what are you looking for? And he paused and he said, someone to grow with. And I'm like, he didn't say my name, okay? So I get home and I call my mom. And I said, well, Mom, she said, well, how did it go? Did you meet him? And I said, yes, but he didn't give me the right answer. She said, well, what did he say? I said, I asked him, what is he looking for? He said, someone to grow with. And she said, so what was wrong with that? I said, that wasn't the right answer. She said, my child, he gave you the right answer. He wants to grow with someone. And that's how it all began.
Oh, so he said he wanted to grow with someone. So how did you see him again? How did it?
He invited me to lunch, and he told me his whole story about his divorce, his son, his addiction.
Well, let's hear about his story.
Yes, his story was that he had gone to, grew up in Gary, Indiana. He lost his mother when he was just 7 years old, attended Catholic school, and then he went to public school.
I think we have a picture of him in high school.
In high school. And he finished high school. He was a basketball star and well-liked by everyone, beautiful personality. And then he had difficulty because he had lost his mother at such an early age. And so he enlisted, or he was really, you know, enlisted into the Air Force.
Okay. Was he wasn't drafted?
He was drafted.
Oh, he was drafted.
He was drafted. And
we have a picture of him in the Air Force.
Okay, yes, there he is there.
And look how young.
Yes.
He looks like a baby.
19 years old.
Yeah.
19 years old.
Yeah.
You know, and, but it was not a great experience. He went through a lot with post-traumatic stress disorder and shell shock, and he was a military police officer. So he guarded the base, and he was even shot in the military. And so even during our marriage, he would wake up if I walked into the room softly, or what is it, what is it, what is it, you know, and he would wake up like this. And it was that serious. And it stayed with him for a long time. So from there, he got out of the military, but he was addicted to morphine from the gunshot wound. And then from there, he became addicted to heroin and started trafficking drugs and selling drugs with his sister, Connie.
So it just began a downward spiral.
Oh, yes, from the military.
From the military.
Yes.
And he was, and this, I was just reading about something recently, actually this morning, about prescription drugs leading to heroin addiction.
Oh, yes. Oh,
and this is kind of what happened to him. He got addicted to the painkiller.
Yes.
Because of the gunshot wound. And then
went to heroin.
Went to heroin.
Yes.
Wow.
And
so then he started selling it.
Oh, selling it. And he was, you know, and his sister was also in a cartel in Indiana. And she was big in California and came back to Indiana. And they were doing drugs together. Then his sister became ill. And he got the call that she was ill in the hospital, early 30s. And he didn't know where, but somewhere in South Bend. God led him to the hospital. And from there, he found her in this room. Then the doctor came in, and he asked him to leave, and she said, no, he can stay. And he said that there's nothing else we can do for you, Connie. You've used drugs so long, it's damaged your organs. And she hit the bed and said, I could have been, I should have been, I would have been. And she turned to Arthur and said, don't you die like me. Get clean. Get the help you need. That day, he left and went to New York, and they had an open bed, and he went into rehab. And from that point on, he remained clean. From that point on. Because
and when was that?
That was, because he had been married, and they got divorced because his first wife couldn't handle the addiction. And so that was in his later 20s. And from there, he went back to Gary. And his cousin, Jody, on his mother's side, said, I need to bring you to Ann Arbor, Michigan. And he said, if you don't come, I'm coming to get you. And he didn't come for a week, and Jody went down to get him and brought him back to Ann Arbor, and that was the turning point. And he started attending Washington College, got his associate degree, got his undergrad degree from Wayne State in education, and then after meeting me, earned his master's degree in social work and substance abuse.
Love it.
So he gave back all that he went through to help others also to find freedom with drug abuse and addictions.
Yes. So, wow, he had a powerful journey. Now, where were his parents?
In Gary, Indiana, but his mother passed when he was 7. His father passed in his late 80s. But again, his father was like very disappointed that he did not want to stay and work in the steel mill. His brothers were firemen and they worked in the steel mill. But he wanted something more for his life. And that's why it was the turning point in Ann Arbor when he was able to go to school and have the support of his family. And they raised him, the Smiths and the Davises raised him as their own son. And it was just amazing, and how we all became one family. I didn't know the Nowlin family that well. We would go down for funerals or different things like that, but there was never family reunions. And they didn't come to visit him. In our 20 years of marriage, I didn't know his family. And they really kind of was critical that they felt that I took him away. He became Seventh-day Adventist because he was raised Catholic.
Okay.
And so, but you didn't know him. For 30 years, you missed the man and what he became and what God did through him. And Yvonne, I have to say this to women who may be listening and men, you don't have to compromise. You can wait on the Lord to allow you to make a stand.
Yes.
And God will use you in that stand, because he came to church with me a few weeks after he met me. He said, well, what do you do on Saturday? And I said, I go to church. He said, well, what? I said, church. What? I said, church. Every time he asked the question, it was church. He said, you don't go to club? I said, church. You don't go to cabaret? Church. And then he said, but you met me at a cabaret. I said, that was for a good cause, okay? And he came to City Temple in Detroit, and he walked in, and there was all these little groups going on. And he said, what is going on here? And we were dating, and I said, it's called Sabbath School. He said, well, what are they doing in Sabbath School? And I said, they're talking about Jesus and the Word of God. And he got so excited. But that wasn't completely all that brought him to City Temple. 5 men greeted him, one man in particular, our head elder at the time, and said, welcome. And he said, he's mine. Took him to the beginner Sabbath School class, and from there, trained him to be a deacon, an elder, and on become Federation President and Family Life of our church, Family Life Co-Director of the conference. It all started this is why when we see people visiting our churches, we should embrace them.
Absolutely.
And let them know that we love them. And that's what won Arthur, because he said he visited other churches and other denominations, but no one came to greet him and said hello. But these 5 men and their families embraced us and our daughter, and it just grew from there, a village.
I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, man, it's so amazing that God knew from the very beginning who Arthur would be for him and how Arthur would be on the front lines for him. And he just led him through you, brought him to you and you to him. And God he's just so awesome.
Isn't he awesome?
He's so awesome. So, okay, so let's go back a second. So you guys started, I need to know though, how, because I'm like inquiring minds want to know. Okay, so after, because we digressed for a bit with the story of his life, right? The early beginnings. How did you guys connect though? I mean, after that lunch, you went to lunch?
Yes.
He started calling, he started pursuing. At what point did you both know? Well, you kind of knew when you saw him. You said, that's going to be my husband.
Right.
But at what point did he know that you were his?
I think when some of the ladies approached him at church and said, well, Kim, he's been a member here for a year or so. Are you going to date him? I said, well, right now I'm his friend. I brought him to church. And I said, but if you would like to pursue him, you can. Because I was confident in the Lord. you know. And so he went to lunch with one of them, and I wasn't worried. And he called me that evening. I said, well, how did it go? And he said, it was nice, you know. But I think what happened was his son, Jason, was 12. Jason went home and told his mom, Dad has a girlfriend. And they have been trying to reconnect. But he really tried to reconnect with his family because he wanted to be with his son. But I don't think she was open to it.
Because she had been through so much.
So much. And she's a lovely woman. We are good friends. And when she called him, he said that, thank you, but I'd like to see what will happen with Kim. And that's when I knew.
Wow. Oh, she called him?
After Jason
went home. To try to
home.
Rekindle it.
Jason went home and said, Mom, Dad has a girlfriend. And it's not until you think someone is right. Yeah.
Right.
And so he said, I'd like to see where this will go with Kim. Never knowing, almost 30 years, it went with Kim.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
So you guys started dating. And you really fell in love.
Fell in love and really blending our families together because I had a daughter. He had a son.
I think we have a picture of the family,
of the family.
too. Yeah, we'll put that up.
And
so you had a daughter.
Yes.
He had a son.
Yes.
And you guys...
It blended and working together. That's the family.
Yeah.
And then in 2000, we had our daughter, Erin.
Yeah.
You know, and then
looking
Jason.
just like Arthur.
I know, looks just
my
like, yes.
Just like Arthur.
And
with
that's
her cap and gown
yes,
on.
she was graduating from the 8th grade, and Jason has a son that was Arthur's first and only grandson. And we always had this philosophy: how many steps do you have to take? This is our family. There are no stepfather, stepmother.
That's right.
Stepbrothers, half-brothers. We are a family.
Family, that's right.
And so with that, so at the wedding, the children, they were our best man and maid of honor. And they were like, really, this is going to happen? And it was so unbelievable because Arthur was Mr. Nowlin for almost a year. Good morning, Mr. Nowlin. Good afternoon, Mr. Nowlin.
So Micah didn't warm up to him?
And she said, dinner served, Mr. Nowlin, Mr. Nowlin. And one day she came down the stairs and she said, Daddy. And we were like, don't say a word, don't say a word, okay. And we didn't know what to do. And he answered the question, and from that point on, it was Daddy. And even at the services, she said, everyone is up talking about all these wonderful accolades and how wonderful he is. Well, I didn't like him. I didn't want him to marry my mom. And then she turned and looked at me and said, Mom, I want to thank you for marrying such a wonderful man. Thank you for a man who protected me, guided me all the way through since the age of 8 to 34. That was her father. That was her father, you know, and he cared for her, loved her. And when she got breast cancer in 2013, and we were coming here to do a taping, and I had to call you to say, Micah just was, you know, diagnosed.
Yes.
And the only thing he said on the phone was, I'm on my way. That's it. You know, he didn't even mince words. I'm her father. And that's when I knew. So I knew that day on the phone when I heard him say that, and we began to really spend a lot of time with the children because it had to work. And then him accepting the seventh-day message.
At what point did he accept the
Immediately. Immediately.
Really?
Immediately, yes.
That's incredible. You know, when you were talking about the 5 men that kind of rallied around him and embraced him, that's what we need to do in our churches
need to do it.
Across the world.
Yes, our
Just
young people, women, yes.
people when they come in.
And so he accepted the message immediately, was baptized 6 months later.
Wow.
Yes, I invited him to church in 1990. He was baptized in 91. And we were married in 93.
Oh.
Yes, so we had premarital counseling, and he started working for me in 91, and he said, this is something I've always wanted to do. He did it at his agency, but to have the freedom to travel, to speak, to write books. And so he came to me after we were married. He said, I said, what's wrong? He says, I want to quit my job. I said, you want to do what? And he said, I want to quit my job. I said, well, what do you want to do, dear? He says, I want to go to school and get my master's, but I need someone to believe in me. I need my wife to believe in me, you know. And so I said, so I called my mom, you know, and I said, Mom, what do you think? And then she said, if you help this man go to school, this man will be just in your corner for the rest of your life. And my mom helped us get a computer. We paid her back. And he went to school and got the degree. And he says, well, I'm not going to march and participate in graduation. And I walked into the room. I said, get your coat. We're going down to get all your information, file your paperwork. You'll be marching in the Afrocentric graduation and also at Wayne State. So at the graduation, I'm looking for him, and I see this man in the chair after graduation saying, hey, hey, and I'm like, for someone who did not want to participate in graduation, you could not tell him anything. And then I gave him a party, and he was just elated.
Now look at, see, this is one of the things that I love about you guys, because there's always this element of supporting each other, being there for each other. I mean, you saw that he had a dream. That's what partners do.
That's right. He had a dream.
He had a dream, and you, instead of you saying, quit your job, are you crazy?
I know.
No, you check with mom, which is a good move, and then you probably prayed about it, of course. And then you said, go ahead and do that. That says, I believe in you. But not only that, it says, I'm here to help you actualize, to help you realize your dreams, your goals. Just like he could be there for you.
The highest level of self-esteem my mother taught me as a child is self-actualization. Help someone come ahead of you. Pull them ahead of you. You know, and we were down to one car, so I had to pack his lunch, drop him off for his clinicals and his classes, and he would sometimes get angry because I would be late because I would be at the office. I had to go get Micah from school. I had to do everything, and he would be like, you're 10 minutes late. And he would be pouting outside the school, waiting for me, and I'm like, Arthur, get in the car. Get in the car. I said, I'm trying to just keep all of this together. And so once he graduated and started working for the company, everything started just to build and grow, and we saw things come together, his dream, you know. Especially, he had time to go play golf whenever he wanted.
Oh, we have a picture of him on the golf course, too.
He loved it.
That was his passion, wasn't it?
Yes, his passion was golf. His love was Christ. Yes, but his passion, because in the wedding vows, he said, I shall not dust, I shall not clean, I shall only play golf, okay?
I can't believe he put that in the vows.
He put that in the vows. And he was very determined not to do any type of chores. Arthur didn't do chores. So later on, he would go to the grocery store. He didn't like the honey-do list. He talked about the honey-do list. And I would leave him a list that would take up his 8 hours a day. You know, and I'm like, how do you play golf for 27 holes and then come home and watch golf on television? Okay? Well, I got to see this. I got to learn this move. You know? And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to take golf. He said, no, that's my time. That's my time.
He did not want to do that.
And really, I didn't want to, because it gave me a chance to have my quiet time. That was his space. I had my space. And then when we came together, the honey-do list, all right?
Oh, that's so good. We have a video clip of you and Arthur, and actually it's the tribute that Jason and I did for Arthur, but we have some clips of you and Arthur in action. I want to show those, okay? Arthur Nowlin, our beloved friend and co-host of the Dare to Dream program, Making It Work, was a funny, sensitive, intelligent, and spiritual man of God. He and his wife, Dr. Kim, were faithful members of our Dare to Dream family and diligently provided episodes that gave inspiration and hope to the viewers.
I remember Brother Arthur being sharp from head to toe. I mean, even his socks complemented his suits. Dr. Kim and Brother Arthur were a fine example of relationship goals. They worked together, they had an excellent dynamic, and they served the Lord together. I'm sad that we are even making this video right now, but I thank God for the blessed hope of seeing Brother Arthur again when Christ returns.
We have some highlights of Brother Arthur and Dr. Kim on Making It Work. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kim Logan-Nowlin.
I'm Arthur Nowlin.
And welcome to Making It Work. Arthur, connected by love. I always feel connected to you. But do I ever smother you or you need your space?
Well, sometimes you do, Kim, but it's okay. I've gotten used to it.
Wait. How do I smother you?
Yeah, you know, there's this thing the honey-do list.
Oh, okay. My honey-do list.
And sometimes it could be a little bit.
It could be a little long. It could be a little long.
I mean, especially after I come in from a rough day on the golf course.
Oh, yes. Okay, so that honey-do list gets longer and longer because you're 18 hours. Now, can you imagine? Now, I'm talking connected by love. Can you imagine 9 holes on the golf course? Then it turns to 18. Then it's 27?
Well, Kim, that only depends. 27 is a rarity. 18 is standard.
Oh, really?
But you should understand that. I mean, you've been with me long enough to know that I'm going to do 18.
That's true. Now, you know. Okay, Arthur, you know, being married and working together, it takes a lot of energy.
Yes.
Does it take a lot of energy to be married to me?
Oh, Kim.
Why you say, oh, Kim?
I don't have enough energy.
You know, I like things moving. I like to keep things going and being motivated.
Absolutely.
I think that's, you know, a wife's job to keep her husband going.
Well, I mean, who gave you that job?
Jesus, in the name. The Lord said, submit thyself unto thy husband.
Oh, no, Kim.
Don't you think I submit? Do I submit? You taking too long to answer that question. Let's move on.
Yeah.
No, I want to answer. Do you think I'm a submissive wife?
No.
Oh, really?
No. I mean.
Am I difficult?
You can be, you know, but you know, once again, I have to relay back, Kim, how fortunate you are with the type of person I am.
Okay.
And with my personality, I'm able to adjust to you as well as get you to adjust to me.
So being equal.
Yes.
Oh, Arthur, I got a scripture for you.
Okay, come on with
You ready?
Yeah.
He who finds a wife finds a good thing and receives favor from the Lord. Proverbs 8:22.
Wow, that's fantastic.
He that finds a good wife.
I'm still looking for that favor.
But you got the good wife.
I got the good wife.
You remember how we met? You know, well,
yeah, I can remember.
Well, I'm gonna go to the part in the bank where after I met you, you didn't recognize me, and I was so embarrassed. I ran out.
You were running all over the place.
But no, I ran out of the bank because you didn't know who I was. You didn't remember me.
That's understandable.
Why is that understandable?
I shook you up.
You did. But at the end, I got you. I got you. So
what do you mean you got me?
You married me.
Oh.
Okay, you remember you were there.
Okay, can we count that as being got, or can we?
Learning how to love. When you think about the fruits of the Spirit, what fruit really describes me for you?
I don't know.
You're taking too long.
Well, I'm trying to find the
Is there only 9? There's not 20 fruits now.
I understand. Long suffering.
Long suffering is yours.
That's the one.
You know, why do you say long suffering about me?
Well, because, I mean, I've been suffering for a long time.
You know what? You need to stop. You need to stop. See, I was going to say joy, peace. You give me a peace that passes all understanding.
But, see, you have to really understand what long suffering means.
Okay, tell me.
You know, I mean, even though I'm suffering, and it's been for a long time.
Break it down.
There's a reward at the end of my suffering.
What's the reward, dear?
You know, that somewhere down the line that we'll bring it together and I won't have to suffer as long as I did before.
That's why we love you and Arthur. So funny.
Yes.
So real.
Oh, yes.
How do you feel when you see that?
Oh, it just makes me it's sort of surreal. It's like, I know it's happened, but I'm so thankful for all that we've shared together. You know, you're born. July 3rd, 1948. But that dash, before we got to October 30th, 2016, he took that dash, and it's like, you know, like cornbread and gravy. He just ate it up. He was hungry. He wanted a second chance. God gave him a second chance. And even to the moment he died, he asked me on October 30th, he said, why? And I said, Arthur, you know, Jesus even asked God why. You can ask God why. But you have to remember, God gave you your Job experience. And he was like, I don't want to talk about Job. I said, but let's go back 27 years ago when you were first diagnosed. And
Now, tell us about why did he die?
he had, well, first of all, he was diagnosed with hepatitis C and then cirrhosis of the liver.
Okay.
And that was almost 30 years ago. But God brought him through that. And then around...
And the Hep C, excuse me, the Hep C was related to
the drug use, and also it could have been with the Agent Orange that was over in Vietnam during that time. And
he was exposed to Agent Orange.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So, so his liver was compromised. So with that, one of the cells became radical in April, May, because he was complaining of pain. But what happened was he became ill around, we had gone to Just Claim It, Beta in Virginia, and it was cold, and he wasn't feeling good. And then we went to Aruba during Easter. And so he said that I feel better, I can do the trip. But when he got home, he played a game of golf. And that next day, from April 23rd, he called me. I was in church. He said, I don't think I can meet you. Can you come home? And I took him to the hospital. He had a fever, chills, and he was misdiagnosed at the hospital first. And he had gone one time 10 days, another time 11 days, another time 14 days. That was the last time. And they found the cancer. He had bile duct cancer. And the radical cell ended there because he couldn't move and pass his bowels. And it was so painful for him. And so they put stents in to give him some relief, and that did help. But he was on the painkillers, and we were like, this should not still be after all this time. And a doctor came in, and she said, I'm going to do exploratory surgery that I asked for back in April. Now, this is July. And they told us that it was just a gastric issue. But we took him to a gastrologist, and he said, no, his liver enzymes are too high. He needs to see a liver specialist. So I took him to 4 different hospitals, numerous of doctors, until we found what it was. And
had the cirrhosis damaged the liver?
Yes,
beyond?
yes, scar tissue.
Okay.
And yes, and so we were looking at a liver transplant, but he had cells. The radical cells had moved to the bloodstream, so they could not do the liver transplant. And so from there, they recommended radiation because he was too weak for chemo. So he made it through 12 treatments of radiation at U of M. And he was so happy, he was so proud, but he lost 50 pounds. Wow. So he went from 180 to down to 125, 23 pounds. Ooh. And so he would look in the mirror and he said, who is this person? And I had to constantly say, I love you, you're my husband, you're God's child, the father of our children. And he would cry sometimes. He would just cry. He says, I don't understand. And I said, and I didn't want him to feel like he was being punished by God. But again, right after his death, Pastor Snells at First Church, Debonair Snells, he called and he said, Auntie, he said, I can only give you this scripture, Isaiah 57, 1 and 2, that God takes the righteous and lays them to sleep to save them from the wicked times ahead. And I had to hold on to that. And I said, and my sister said to me, God is saving him from something. It could be that he may turn in the last days. The very elite shall be deceived. And God saying, while I have him, I'm going to take him. Maybe for me to have even a closer walk. Will I continue the ministry, or will I just hide up under the covers and give up? Because now I'm on the other side of being Dr. Kim. I've lost my husband. Yes, yes. And this is the most difficult. I've lost my mother, my father, a sibling, aunts, you know, but a spouse.
After 30 years.
Come on, and you've been with this person, and you've ministered with this person. Yes. You know? Yes. And even when I met him, and I said, now, this is what's going to happen. We're going to not have sex before marriage. I am a vegetarian. I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. What you going to do?
I love it.
So what you gonna do?
This is great. What you gonna do?
What you gonna do?
Obviously, he said, I'm gonna marry you.
And then he told his golf friends, I can't play golf on Saturday anymore. And they spoke. John spoke at the services, and they all started playing on Sunday. But get this, before he would go out and play, no matter where he was, he would call me for prayer. Then he would pray with his friends. And at the airport, he would pray again. That was a ministry. But they all knew he would be praying with me before he headed out, no matter where they were.
Yeah.
And so I would complain and fuss about the honey-do list, but it was a ministry for him. He could have been at the casinos. He could have been at the strip clubs. He could have been abusing my girls, but no, he was a godly man, you know, who loved God. He loved his family, and that man loved golf, okay?
Yeah.
And so I had to try to understand, even at the last hour, holding him, because he died with me holding him. He died with me holding him. And I said, I love you. I love you. And when our daughter, Erin, stayed home and got her out of bed, and she screamed, and she said, no, Daddy. And he looked over at her, and he smiled. And he looked back at me, and he said, I love you. And I said, rest, Arthur, rest. I said, I'll see you when Jesus comes. Just rest now. And he looked at me, Yvonne. Even speaking, he slipped away. He was speaking, and he took that last breath. And our daughter Micah was on FaceTime because she was in Huntsville. Our son Jason was there, and our godson Justin. And he slipped away. Even at the end, he didn't want to leave us. He told my sister and my cousin Dee what's going to happen to my wife and my children. And God, because every time I went through something, Arthur was there with me.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Every year since 2011, it has been such a tumultuous time in our lives.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
You've had so many things happen. Your daughter diagnosed with breast cancer, your mother dying.
My aunt passed away last year.
That's right.
You know, 2015, you know, my cousin Karen's mother. And then the fire of the building, you know. And then you couldn't have told me while I was at my Aunt Rachel's repast, we were the MCs. You know, standing by my cousin Karen's side, that I would be burying my husband a year later. You couldn't tell me that. And I said, Lord, what is it that you want from me? And I asked God that. I said, what do you want from me? Because all I have left are my children. All I have is my life. What do you want? What do you want me to know? What do you want me to do? I'm faithful. I keep the Sabbath. I return a faithful tithes and offering. I do everything you've asked me to do. You know, and Arthur even said, you have a star on your crown. There will be no starless crowns, Kim.
Yeah.
You know, and we begin to talk about Ellen G. White's writings. And I said, Lord, please don't take my husband. Don't do this. Don't do this.
You know, honey, the thing is, the Bible says that the thief comes to steal and destroy.
Yes.
Jesus came to give us life and life more abundantly. And even in the midst of the darkest times, we don't understand why things happen. But God didn't do this to Arthur. He allowed it for whatever reason. He allowed it. But he didn't do this. The enemy takes our loved ones. Death is an enemy.
Yes.
But praise God for the resurrection.
Oh,
That's
praise
all
God.
we have.
Praise God.
And that's all we have.
As I was watching the casket go into the ground, and my son was, you know, putting the dirt on top. And Wednesday before Thanksgiving, I went out to take care of his headstone. And so I thought right then and there, how great it will be when Jesus comes again.
Yes,
And the dead in Christ shall rise first. And I stood there at his grave by myself, thanking the Lord for his life, but thanking Jesus for the resurrection. And I'm looking towards that day more with an urgency than before.
Yes.
Because I want to see Jesus, but I want to see Arthur.
Yes.
I want to see him again.
Oh, yes.
So I must do whatever it takes to live a life that is pleasing for Christ and live a life that's going to be used by God. Because I could have called you and said, Yvonne, I'm done. I can't go on without Arthur. I could have, you know, walked out of my office, because you know his office is right next to mine. You've been there.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
and walking past that office every day, I'm done. And then, are you ready for this? On Sunday, my alarm went off. Someone broke into my office in February and broke into my office just a few days ago.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm like, is the enemy so angry with me to get me discouraged that you are going to do everything you can? Well, I'm here to tell you, it's not going to work.
Come on.
It's not going to work.
Come on now.
I'm going to continue to stay on this battlefield.
That's right.
I'm going to continue to witness. I'm going to continue to help others understand the importance of what it means, because now I can talk from that perspective. I can help. And do you know, I got a call just a few days after Arthur passed from a lady who lost her spouse. And I said, I'll meet with you. You know, and people say, well, when do you grieve? This is a part of my healing. It's a part of my healing to help others.
You know, when you were talking about how you cried out to God and you're like, why is this happening? And Arthur too, why is this happening? And basically, what did I do? What did I not do? Why is this going? But you know, that is such a normal thing to do. That is such a typical thing to do when we're in the throes of grief and despair. We wonder, why is this happening? We know that God has a plan. It's just that at that point in time, you just don't know where things are going.
That's right. You don't know what his plan is.
You don't know what his plan is.
No, but he says it, though. The plans I have for you. You know, you have no idea.
I know the plans.
I know, but you don't know.
But you don't know.
You know, and they're bigger than what you can even imagine.
That's right.
And so I have to accept that. And even in the midnight hour, I wake up crying. And I have pictures of him around the house. And before he passed, he said, Kim, because in the family room, there's like pictures and big pictures and little pictures. It's just a family room. He says, Kim, I love that picture. I love that picture. He said, but Kim, you're going to take some of these pictures down because you're going to have a hard time. And I haven't taken one down because it tells a story.
Yes.
All the pictures tell a story of my life with you.
Yes.
And what it's been like to be with you. And it's just an amazing journey, you know, and how many times he would fight me, no, I don't want to come to the office, or, you know, how many outfits did Yvonne say we had to have? I said 13 episodes. Well, why do we have to finish the book? Why we got to do this? I said, Arthur, because you're leaving a legacy of love.
Yes.
And that's what he has left with us.
Yes. A legacy of love.
A legacy of
sure.
love.
We have a couple of pictures of you and Arthur, and even you and oh, I love that picture.
Oh, yeah.
Now, was that when you guys were first dating, or what
that was a little bit after we were dating.
Okay.
Yes.
That's sweet.
Yes.
We have a couple more. Now, what was that?
That is our new promo. We just did that last year to promote the business, the Nowlins, the power couple.
Yeah.
So I was doing some new marketing strategies and some techniques, and he was fussing about, well, why do we have to be in the same color? Why do we have to do this and that? He was just fussing. But when he saw it, he would always say, I look good.
Oh, my goodness.
He said, that looks nice. That's when I was running for Detroit City Council. And he was by my side and getting the pamphlets out, going from meeting to meeting. He was so excited that my dream to run for city council, he was right there to see that happen. Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes.
He was supporting you in your dream.
In every way. This was in California. We were at a wedding, and again, that was because I designed a lot of my outfits, and he would go and we would get matching ties and socks. And he was like, okay, what are you wearing? Or for church. And he loved that. And he used to give me a hard time, but when he would see the picture, he says, oh, I see where your vision is. And that's what, and he loved to just he was an immaculate dresser.
Yes.
And the way he presented himself, and he used it as a ministry to, because he worked in the prisons. And when he would walk into the prisons and his pants would be up, his shoes would be shining.
Yes.
He would have on a tie and suit. And he would talk to the men in prison or the halfway houses. And they would say, Mr. Nowlin, you just a G. You just clean. you are GQ. And he said, praise God. But even as a little boy, he was tall and thin, so his suits had to be tailor-made. But he always had that air about him to present himself well. And that's why he said, if someone could just believe in me, or and I told his ex-wife at the service, and she said, Kim, I want to thank you for being there for Arthur. And I said, you had a season, I had a season, but most of all, Jesus had his season. And Arthur was looking for the Lord. And it's amazing when you give your life to Jesus, and people don't understand. He will take your life if you're open to it. And you wonder why, if you're stagnated and you're not moving, are you giving your all to Jesus? Are you faithful to the Lord? And I remember when Arthur first asked about tithes and offering, he said, so I give money to God? He said, I can't keep. I said, 10%. And then we moved to 10-10. And he said, now 15-15. But he saw the blessing.
So 10% tithe, 10% offering, 15% tithe, 15% offering.
And he saw the tremendous increase in our lives, not just finances, but health, ministry. 3ABN called us. And I remember when you called, and we got the call.
Let's talk about how you came to Making It Work.
Well, we got a call from Ray
Young.
And they were looking for a host for this program. And I was at a workshop. And Ray called about 12 times. And so I went to the restroom. I was washing my hands. I laid the phone down. And I says, hi, can I help you? And Ray asked me about this because we worked together at camp meeting, doing workshops, doing seminars. But Arthur would be at the golf course. So I would be doing a radio show, workshop, seminar. Kim, I think this would be great for you. And I said, well, I would like to propose something. I said, my husband and I, we do everything together except golf. And I said, I would like to do a program with him. And I said, can you see if Dr. Lewis would be interested in that? And you said, let's do the pilot. And it went from there to Making It Work.
Oh, praise the Lord. You know, Brother Ray had said, and I meant to mention this in the tribute, that he brought you to us. And he had told me, I have this couple that would just be perfect for this program. And so I said, okay, well, let's give it a try. Let's see. And oh my, from day one. I mean, I just loved what you all did. I loved the banter. I loved the chemistry you had. I loved all that. I really appreciate Brother Ray for bringing it and for producing all the beginning, the early programs. Brother Ray and his team at Quiet Time.
And people don't realize it takes a lot of sacrifice. To do something like this.
They have no idea what goes into all of this.
They see the final product.
That's right.
But you don't know.
That's right.
And Arthur, I had done television for years, but Arthur was a radio man. And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, well, we're going to do this together. And once you gave Arthur that mic, oh my goodness, you could not get the mic.
Forget it.
Or if he was interviewing someone, and I would cut back in, he was like, you cut me off. I said, no, I didn't. He said, well, next program, let me open it, And he said, well, you are a natural at this. I need some rehearsal. But he loved it.
Oh, and you did some fillers for us, too, love notes. And we air those, too, where you and Arthur are teaching principles of relationship, of relationship building and family support. That's what we're all about.
That's all about.
Let's talk before we end, because this hour has just flown by. Let's talk a little bit about how you're doing. How are you coping with the loss of your partner?
It's very difficult. I'm sad a lot. I miss him. I pray a lot. I study my word. I try to be strong for my children and my grandson, for my church family. I didn't stop attending church. I went back that next Sabbath. We laid him to rest Thursday. I was in church Sabbath. And being in the home is different because we were there together. This is the home we made together for our children and our lives, and Sabbath dinners and fellowships and federation meetings and the choir rehearsals, and just so many wonderful memories. I can't go into any room without thinking of him. Or why do we have to change the curtains? Why we need to do this? Well, didn't we just get this bedspread? And I think for the first 5 days I couldn't sleep in our room. You know, it's very difficult to sleep in our room. This is real. I gotta be transparent.
Please, please.
And I walk into the room and I can't go past the door. I can't go in that room. The door is open, but I can't go in the room. Now, when my son is there, or my daughter, and I'm gathering things together to give to my son, and what's so beautiful, our son can wear all his clothes.
Oh,
so beautiful.
That is beautiful.
And I'm getting things in order and pulling this out, and he said, well, Mom, why are you keeping this? He said, you can't wear it. So I said, in time, I'll let it go. In time. So right now, I'm taking it day by day. And you know, Yvonne, a lot of people don't know what to say to you. They think they're helping you, and you know, they'll ask you, how are you doing? And that's not always the right question to ask. And if
What are some things to ask? What are some things that someone who has a loved one that's going through what you're going through, what are some of the things they should ask you?
They don't even ask, just do. Just do. Just bring food, bring things to the house. My mom had this saying, if you see a void, fill it. And it goes without saying. And sometimes people want to talk about it, and that's not the right time. You know, pick and choose your battles. So maybe I like to bring a casserole over. Would that be all right? I like to invite you to lunch when you feel better. I like to, or just come up and give a hug. But to ask, how are you doing, that leaves me to say, I'm sad, I'm hurting. And then people will say, are you still sad?
Oh my God.
Are you still going through this?
I can't imagine that.
Oh yes. Listen now, it's time for you to move on.
Oh.
But you don't know my pain and the depth of my pain. Until you walk in my shoes, you don't know. And you know what's interesting? My sister lost her husband in 2005. He was the chaplain at Oakwood University, Pastor James Humphreys.
Oh, yeah.
And he died in her arms. You couldn't tell us we both would be widows.
That was your sister.
That's my sister.
I didn't know
Renee
that.
Humphreys, yes. And I would call her, try to talk to her. She would rush me off the phone. And I would tell Arthur, why doesn't Renee want to talk to me? Now I understand. And I told my sister, I get it now. I get it now. Someone called me the other night and they said, I heard something. Is it true? I can't believe this. And I said, yes, 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 call me in 6 months. I couldn't deal with it. And I love you, but this is not the time. And they said, well, okay, when I call you back, Kim, let's talk about the sweet resurrection. I said, that's fine, but not today. So just do for that family. Embrace the family. And, you know, less is better.
And I guess be sensitive, because what I'm hearing is that people need to be sensitive to where you're at.
Yes.
Someone might want to talk.
Yes.
If they want to talk, be that ear.
That's
if
it.
they don't want to talk, don't try to force it.
Right.
Just let them let you know where to go with it.
And I think by the time I do a nod, the fourth nod, that should let you know maybe I had enough. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. And I'm trying to get away. And they know they mean well, but they have to look at the sensitivity of what that family's going through. And everyone says I'm so strong, but that's what you see, the persona.
Right.
But I've lost my husband. He's resting in the Lord. He's asleep in the Lord, and I understand that. But his physical being, I miss his conversation.
Yes.
I miss the bantering. I miss, you know, where are you going? What are you doing? Arthur, that's why you have a cell phone. Call me, you know. And Arthur, wash the spoon. That was my pet peeve. He would get something and leave the spoon in the sink. He said, Kim, it's just a spoon. But it's not, it belongs in the drawer, okay? So in those last 7 months, I took him to every doctor's appointment. My son took him one time to radiation, but that 7 months I would stay in the hospital with him. I would sleep in that bed on the floor. I would sleep in a chair. I would say, can I go home for one night? He'd say, you have to stay with me. I stayed with him every day, every night. And if someone came, I would run to the office for a little bit. But I stopped everything to take care of my husband.
That's beautiful.
I took care of it. And even during the process, I went plant-based. Thank you, Dr. Lewis, your book.
Well, praise the Lord.
And others. And I really started cleaning up my act, my health. The Lord really spoke to me to leave a lot of things alone. Because I had been struggling with my weight. And I was going to the gym, but I couldn't lose the weight. Because you tone in the gym, but you lose weight at home.
Right.
The fork and the spoon.
Right, that's true.
And when he could do nothing but juice and soups, that's all I ate. And then I was lifting him, picking him up, taking him to the restroom. And he would cry sometimes because I said, honey, who's supposed to do this? I'm your wife. And I would shower him, get him dressed, put him in the car, one foot in front of the other. You're my husband. This is because a lot of spouses, they will abandon a spouse when they become ill.
Absolutely.
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 But
it's too much for me.
It's too me. I can't handle it.
Do it. I can't handle it.
And they leave. But I would try to go upstairs and sleep in the bed. When we got home, he would sleep right next to me on the couch.
He wanted you right there.
Right there.
Right next to me.
And I think he had a fear of passing. But when I brought him home, he was in hospice, and he said, no more medicine. He could have lived a little longer, but he said, no more medicine. He said, I'm done. I'm done. And he accepted the outcome. He did.
It's such a tough journey.
Yes.
This world just offers us the hardest times, but praise God, we have the rest. If we had nothing to hope for, if we had nothing to look forward to, where would we be?
We do not mourn as those who do not have hope.
That's
where
right.
would we be?
Where would we be? What, in about 35, 40 seconds, what would you tell a woman who is going through what you're going through, or maybe her husband is in the process of dying? What would you say to her?
I would say, first of all,
or him.
Make sure that you are sincere with yourself. Be transparent with yourself. Be open and honest, and spend as much time with your spouse as you can. Work through those difficult moments that really don't matter anymore. But I'm sorry, I apologize, thank you, I love you. Embrace one another. Take that time together. And then make sure that you have a walk with Christ, because that's the only thing that's going to get you through this.
That's right.
Is your walk with Christ, a relationship with Christ.
That's right.
That's the only thing.
That's right.
And that's what I would tell anyone.
Dr. Kim, we love you so much.
Love you right back.
Thank you so much for being with us today. Well, I'm so grateful that Dr. Kim took the time to be with us and to be transparent and to let us know her journey and Brother Arthur's journey. We loved him dearly, and we know that you did too when you watched Making It Work. So thank you for watching. Join us next time, because you know what? It just wouldn't be the same without you.